Hi students, and welcome back to today's second live IELTS class. Again, my name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here in Western Canada. I hope all of you are having an awesome start to your weekends. Everybody, this is an IELTS listening. Specifically, we are looking at a listening on taxes and Isaac Newton. To be more exact, we're looking at speaking part 3 and speaking part 4. Everybody, this lesson is brought to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS success. Visit us there. For the general IELTS, visit us at gieltshelp.com. These are the websites that power these live classes. These listening materials and practice exams are coming from our websites. So if you like these classes and you're joining them regularly, be sure to visit us and join the premium version for a better learning experience. Our academic IELTS website looks like this. Just click the big red button. It's right above my head there. To join the premium version of the course, it is a one-time payment for lifetime access. You can even use this code 4R9YU for a 10% discount. Different prices in different countries. Check out your local cost in your currency. We're an IDP affiliate, a British Council partner, an IELTS test registration center, and I'm a certified British Council agent. This is General IELTS here with a green background at gieltshelp.com. Same idea. To join the General IELTS, click the big red button here. This is a listening class. We will listen. I will talk to students in this class today. I want to discuss the listening section with you. The listening for the general and the academic IELTS are the same. You listen to 4 parts. Each one has 10 questions. It takes about 30-40 minutes to listen. Then you have about 10 minutes for preparation and transferring answers to answer keys. Welcome to our subscribers: Aminul, Afrin, Sugath, Sultan, Aziz Bek, Mary Pooja Arkna. Nice to have you. Members: Juan, Lois. Nice to see you in the class. Everybody, again, Carolina is the chat moderator. She's here to help with your questions. Premium members, I'm sending you some Zoom links later today for your exclusive classes. That's for premium members on the websites. If you don't get those, send me an email. If you want to check out what those classes are all about, you want to see what a premium student Zoom class looks like, just check out this playlist. That's where you find all those past premium member classes. The apps are Academic IELTS Help and General IELTS Help for your mobile phones, and those apps will link to the websites. And to get access to premium membership through YouTube, use this link here, youtube.com/AEHelp store. You can actually, I think, see that in the channel in the video. There's like a little store button. If you want to edit videos, you like video editing, send me your CV. We're looking for some video editors to join our team. My email for any questions or for those CVs, adrian@aehelp.com, admin@aehelp.com. If you have questions about IELTS listening, moving to another country, we just finished a task 2 writing class on that, just send an email. We're here to help. Okay. All right, everybody. So right now listening, this is a subscribers chat class, so you can join the chat by subscribing. It's free. It's helpful. You get notifications on your phone. It's really good. And then tomorrow we'll have speaking part 2, speaking part 3, and as I said, on Sunday, exclusive Zoom class for website premium members. So look for those links, premium members. All right, here's a video that we released earlier this month, I believe, and you can check that out. Hi, Eugene. Love those emojis. Can never, ever get tired of them. Cowboy hat. Sunglasses and panda. All right, everybody. Let's do this. So IELTS listening strategies. We talked about visualizing, so seeing the information. Now, again, this listening is coming from our exam books on the websites. This is on page 123 in your first exam book, everybody, if you downloaded the book from the website. If you didn't, that's okay. If you don't have access yet, that's okay. We're doing this together. All right, so what we are going to do is we are going to listen and then answer questions, and I will talk to you about strategy while you do this, okay? So let's do this. Let's jump right in. Let's listen. All right, so we go back to our website here. We're going to go to our My Student account. Again, in your My Student account, there are lots of goodies. Everybody, this is aehelp.com, okay? And we will actually use some student partner speaking in this class as well to talk about the listening and about what we hear. I'm going to do it a little bit different than what you're used to for these listening classes. I'm really working hard to make these classes more and more interactive for you, okay? I think that's very important. So you have your computer-based practice exams, your full academic IELTS course. Make sure to go through the listening sections, everybody, when you have some time. Okay. And the description is there. The IELTS listening has 4 parts. Each has 10 questions. Okay. So go through that when you have a moment, and then for practice, we're going to use the audio CDs, and we're using this first exam book. So we're using test book 1, this one here. By the way, for those of you who have premium access, your password for those PDFs, it's your email, okay? Your email, not my email, your email. Okay, so audio CDs. CD3, because this is our 3rd exam. And track 3, everybody, just a friendly reminder, put your answers into a separate notepad or document or on a piece of paper. Don't put it in the chat yet so that everybody else can have a fair chance. All right, everyone, here we go.
Now turn to section 3. Take some time to look at questions 21 to 26.
So take some time, let's look at it.
Listening section 3. You will hear a public forum discussion between the moderator and 2 contributors, Dr. Philip McPhee and Dr. Ron Tatum, both political scientists at the local university, talking about the nature of taxes in society.
Oh, no, it's the right one. Yep.
Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 26.
First of all, I would like to thank Dr. McPhee and Dr. Tatum for taking time out of their busy lives to spend this evening with us.
Thank you for having us.
Dr. McPhee, could you give us a little bit of the history of taxation?
Certainly. Taxes have been around almost as long as civilization itself. There are records of taxes being collected by Egyptian pharaohs approximately 5,000 years ago. It was customary to give 20% of your production to the pharaoh, and those who evaded taxes were severely punished.
Dr. Tatum, what are the reasons for taxes?
Well, there are essentially 3 major reasons for taxes. The first and most obvious reason is revenue. Governments need money, and taxes fulfil this need. The government then spends this tax revenue on investments that are good for society, such as healthcare, schools and roads. Funding the army would fall under this category as well. The second reason for taxation is for the redistribution of wealth. In simpler terms, this means taking money from the rich and giving it to the poor. Many societies do this out of a belief that it is the responsibility of the government to look after the poor people in society. I'll let Dr. McPhee talk about the final reason for taxation, called repricing.
Thank you, Dr. Tatton. Yes, the third main reason for taxation is called repricing, and by this we mean changing the price of a product to a different, generally higher price. This may sound quite strange, but if you bear with me, you'll see that it makes perfect sense. In general, products are allowed to be priced in a free market. That is to say, whoever can provide goods for the lowest price is the most successful. However, there are certain types of goods that we don't allow to go to the free market. In many countries, these are goods like tobacco and alcohol. These goods are subject to a repricing tax, which is used to discourage people from using the product. Also, these repricing taxes help offset the future medical costs associated with the people who use tobacco and alcohol excessively.
You now have some time to look at questions 27 to 30. Now listen to the rest of the discussion and answer questions 27 to 30.
Very well. Do you favour higher or lower taxes?
I am a strong proponent of higher taxes. The reason for this is simply that it is easier to make money when you already have money. This gives a massive advantage to those people who may have inherited money or come from rich families, because money is so much easier to gain for these people if used wisely. Taxing them seems only fair and for the greater good. This compensates the poorer sections of society who really have little or no hope to gain financial success.
I understand Dr. Tatham's position, but one has to be wary of the fact that if taxes are too high for businesses, then those businesses will leave the country in favour of countries with lower taxes. Of course, it would be nice if we could legislate a worldwide tax structure, but this is simply not attainable. And I'm sure by the time it becomes attainable, companies will likely have opportunities to leave for another planet with more favourable tax structure.
Yes, you're right, Dr. McPhee. We must always be mindful of staying competitive. It is like a tightrope we must walk between compensating those less fortunate and being able to stay competitive in the market. Because if we fail to be competitive, then tax revenue will dry up, resulting in no money at all for the lower economic classes. So this is an extremely difficult balancing act.
Which leads to my next question. What is the future of taxation?
I believe you will see higher taxes in 50 years than there are today, just as we have higher taxes today than 50 years ago. We will need even more money for projects like high-speed transit, new roads, new technologies. Also, with an ageing population, medical costs could soar in the near future, resulting in higher taxes to support this healthcare system.
I think the future will be a lot like the present, walking the tightrope as Dr. Tatton mentioned. Where that takes us, I'm not sure. If I had to guess, I'd say higher taxes for the reasons Dr. Tatton outlined. However, another important variable to consider is whether free markets can really be...
That is the end of section 3. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
And I'm checking my answers. So, if an Egyptian's income was 10,000, how much would be given to the pharaoh? The first reason mentioned for taxes is. The second reason for taxes is known as. Okay, there were 3 reasons. Checking to make sure I have the correct letters here. It says write the correct letter, A to F, not the word. So that's good. I'm going to make sure on that. And then I'll move on.
Now turn to section 4.
Okay, and then we'll do section 4 in a few moments, but we will actually go through the answers here together. So let's jump back and let's discuss the answers. Here we go. So everybody, if an Egyptian's income was 10,000, How much would be given to the pharaoh? This is fill in the blank. It is called an inference type question. Okay. Emra says it's 2K. Yeah, I'd take that. I'm pretty sure your IELTS examiner would too. Just make sure that's capital K if you're going to go with that. I'd probably just go with the number. Mariam says it's 2,000. Yeah, I agree. Probably 2,000. Sure. Okay. All right. Yeah, that's good. Let's talk about it. So everybody, we're going to answer all these questions and talk strategy, and we're going to do it with you and your peers. So to volunteer for speaking, this is what you need to do. You need to go to aehelp.com, click on student partner speaking when you're in your My Student account, and then send me a message and say, hey, I want to volunteer. So we're going to go through these and talk about the speaking section, and you can ask me questions about this speaking and the speaking section. So again, all I'm doing is I'm in the My Student account. So again, for those of you joining in, it's aehelp.com. Join the premium version by clicking the red buttons, or try it for free with the green. Go to your My Student account. Click on Student Partner Speaking. Okay. And then once you've clicked on that, accept the terms that you're going to start speaking. There's nobody here yet. And Lois is saying, why not 20%? I'm going to answer that once we start talking with somebody here. Now, you will see me in here as master. And I'm not surprised that I don't see anybody yet, because a lot of you aren't used to doing speaking during listening parts. Okay. So you'll find me in here as master, and then when you find me, send me a message. Okay. So Caroline is giving you the instructions of how to access the student partner speaking. And then when you find me in here, you're going to find a little blue envelope next to my name. There's Arcana. So let's see how Arcana just joined everybody. And again, it's a little bit worrisome that I don't see many of our premium members in here, because as soon as you have your computer open, you should open up this page so that other people can ping you for communications. Okay. Arcana, can you see my message? Or sorry, Arcna. And Hildan. So we'll go through the answers together. Hildan, if you want to speak with me too, we can just talk about it. Talk about these questions. Okay. So while you're all joining in and while you're pinging me, there's Hildan. Hi, are you ready for a chit chat? No pressure. Okay. Again, just follow the instructions Carolina gave you in the chat. Okay, everybody. So go to aehelp.com and then volunteer. That is really loud. There we go. Hi, Hildan.
Hi,
How are you doing?
I'm looking for a partner for practicing speaking.
That's great. Well, Hildan, you're in the right place. Hildan, are you in the
Yeah.
live class right now, in the YouTube live class?
No,
No, so you're just randomly on the website, right?
yeah.
Okay, well, that is absolutely okay. We're actually doing a live class on YouTube, and I was looking for a volunteer to help me with some of the questions, but you might be able to help me, Hildan. Hildan, are you using the practice exams on the website?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. We're actually looking at a listening section here. And even if you don't have that open, I can play you some audio, but I'm not sure if you'll be able to hear it because it's maybe won't play through the website. Have you done the third exam that talks about taxes?
No, not
No,
yet.
you
Yeah.
haven't. Okay, then this might be a little bit tricky with you. Do you have YouTube open by any chance?
Yeah, I'm opening now.
Okay, yeah, if you open up YouTube and you go to our channel, then I'm going to play the audio for this one more time. Let me know when you have that open and then I'll play it, okay?
Okay, Adrian.
So here we go. I'm going to find this in the meantime.
Now turn to listening. Dr. Philip McPhee, local university. Answer questions 21 to 26.
First of all,
All right. Hildan, do you have YouTube open? Are you able to hear what I'm playing there?
Yes, I can, Adrian.
Okay, perfect. All right, so listen up, everybody. I'm going to play the audio for that first question again and give you a little bit of explanation on these types of questions, okay? So thanks, Hildan, for being a good sport and hanging in there and helping me with this. Okay, so here we go. This is this first question here.
I would like to thank Dr. McPhee and Dr. Tatton for taking time out of their busy lives to spend this evening with us.
Thank you for having us.
Dr. McPhee, could you give us a little bit of the history of taxation?
Certainly. Taxes have been around almost as long as civilization itself. There are records of taxes being collected by Egyptian pharaohs approximately 5,000 years ago. It was customary to give 20% of your production to the pharaoh, and those who evaded taxes were severely punished.
All right. Hildan, how much money did the pharaohs in Egypt usually collect for tax?
2,000.
Right, but what does the audio actually say? So in the audio, they don't say 2,000, right? So what does the audio say? It's the correct answer, but what does the speaker, what does the professor say in the audio? How much did they collect? Usually, they said it was customary for the pharaoh to collect
20%.
That's right. Yeah, it was 20%, right? So Lois actually asked the question in the chat. He said, why can't we just put 20% in for the answer here? Like, why is that marked wrong? Do you know why, Hildan? Can you guess why the IELTS examiner would mark this answer as wrong and 2,000 as correct? What do you think? So the question says, if an Egyptian's income was 10,000, how much would be given to the pharaoh? And a lot of people here would make this mistake and they would write 20%, but the correct answer here is 2,000.
Percentages.
It's because you have to give the best answer in IELTS, and this is called an inference type question. So it means you have to use the information from the audio to figure out the answer. In the IELTS, there's usually one of these questions that's kind of like a math question where you have to listen to what they're saying in the audio, and then you have to do just some simple math, like, you know, grade 1, grade 2 math, so simple math. And then you have to do the math and give the right answer. So here you have to be suspicious, like, why do they give me this number 10,000 if it's just 20%, right? And then you realize that, oh, okay, they want me to figure out that 20% of 10,000 is 2,000, right? Are you familiar with these questions, Hildan, in the IELTS, these kind of math questions?
Not Adrian.
No? So pay attention to these. So see how Hildan's saying, no, I'm not familiar with these. Pay attention to these. I'm sure many of you who already took the IELTS exam once or twice realize they have these kinds of questions. So this is called an inference question, everybody. Okay, so pay attention. They usually come in part 2 or part 3. So pay attention to inference questions in part 2. They don't have them in part 1 usually. Part 2, 3, or 4, where you have to do simple math. The kind of like the how you realize it, Hildan, where you're like, oh, I see. This is if it seems too easy, right? So in this listening question, writing 20% just seems really easy, right? Because the professor very clearly says they usually gave 20%. So 20% seems a little bit too easy. And as soon as you see 20% and you're like, that seems a little bit easy. And then you see the number 10,000, you're like, okay, I'm pretty sure they don't want me to write 20%. I'm pretty sure what they want me to do is to actually figure out that 20% of 10,000 is 2,000. Right? So that's the best answer. And the reason for this is that IELTS is not just an English test. It's also a thinking test. It's testing your ability to think in English, not just catch the words in English. Do you understand what I mean by that, Hildan?
Yes, Adrian.
Yeah? Hildan, do you have any questions about the listening section? So since you're here, and I know I kind of surprised you because you're like, I was here not just for speaking, I'm not in the live class, so but I'm glad you're here now. Hildan, do you have any questions about the listening section? Like something that was in your head that's like, I've always wondered this, or I don't know how that works. Any question?
Why the voice in the YouTube channel is a little bit lagging, Adrian?
That's a good question.
So I'm a little bit confused.
That could be for a lot of reasons. So that could be connection issues. That could be internet connectivity, servers, firewalls. That could be a million, well, maybe not a million reasons, but definitely like 100 different reasons. So I don't know, Hildan. It depends on a lot of different factors why YouTube could be lagging in your country. I don't know the technical back end of YouTube and how it works in different places, so I couldn't tell you. But you can check your latency, or you can check your resolution setting. Although YouTube adjusts the resolution, if you lower the resolution, it might solve that issue. Okay?
Okay, Adrian.
All right. Hildan, thank you so much for being here with me, even though it was kind of surprising for you. And definitely stay in there and practice. You're going to see more and more people jumping in now for this class, so you can probably send one of them a message and say, hey, does somebody want to practice speaking with me, okay?
Okay, Adrian.
All right, so you'll see lots of people, so don't give up. I'm sure somebody will say, Hildan, I'll practice speaking with you. So just stay in and ask people, okay? Okay, bye, Hildan. I think Hildan's maybe having some connectivity issues there. All right, Ariadna, Juan, Karem, Orman, I see more people in here now. Okay, Abu, we're going to do the fourth part of the listening as well. So I'm definitely looking for more volunteers to help me answer some of these listening questions here. While you're volunteering, I will hear you go bing when you volunteer. Oh, there's Karem. Okay, Karem. Are you ready? Yes, Emre, that's right. That was in the Titanic one, the inference type question. Yeah, there's lots of those. All right, let's reach out to Karem.
Hello.
Hi, Karem.
Hello, how are you?
I am doing fantastic. Karem, are you in the YouTube live class?
Yep.
All right. Just want to make sure, because I was like, Hildan's not in there. I'm like, I didn't see Hildan in the chat. He was like, what? So, but he was a good sport. I like how he was like, oh no, guys, I'll help out. So it's good. All right, Karem. Let's take a look at this. So they're talking about taxes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're in the IELTS. Let's say that this topic comes up, taxes. Okay, what should you do? Like when you see this topic, as the listening is starting and they're introducing the main idea of this section, probably you should have already looked at this when you were hearing the instructions in part 1, and you saw taxes, right? What should you think about when you're thinking about taxes?
You mean in specific, what kind of words should I think?
Actually, more specifically, what kind of context or what kind of information should you think about even before you hear any conversation or any speakers? Like, you see this topic, you're like, okay, I can see that part 3 will be about taxes. What should you start thinking about?
I think it was about like governments need money, right? And taxes, the government take some taxes and then spends this task for society, right?
Yeah. Here, let's do something fun, and this is a good exercise, everybody, when you're doing listening, especially with partners or in a classroom. Just do association. So even before you look at the questions or before you listen to the audio of the exam, look at the topic. Like, here the topic is taxes, right?
Yes.
And then find a partner. Right now, Karem, you're my partner. And then we're just going to do quick association. This is training the mind to think in English, of course. So do this in English. To think about, what your brain connects with the topic of taxes. So, Karem, if I say to you, taxes, what's your first thought?
Money.
Money. Okay, fair enough. Okay, ask me the same thing.
What's taxes for you?
I hate it. Seriously though, that's okay. Let's keep going though a little bit. Karem, taxes. What do you think of?
Yeah, let me think a little bit.
Anything. The first thought. Keep it simple.
Rich people.
Rich, sure. Rich, poor. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That comes to mind as well. Okay, now fire it back at me. You don't even need to just one word. Just say taxes.
Yeah, taxes.
Must pay. Okay, let's keep going. Karem, taxes.
Revenue.
Sure. Yeah. And then now we can
Taxes.
now we can just start firing them. GST. Do you know what GST is?
Not actually.
Okay, so in Canada we have government sales tax, and we have another one which is called PST, which is called provincial sales tax. And then we even have HST, or we had it, which is the harmonized revenue sales tax. Okay, how about for you, Karem? Which country are you in? Do you have a name for your tax?
Yeah, I'm from Turkey, but is there a specific name for taxes?
I don't know. That's your department. I don't know what they're called, if they're called anything in Turkey. Okay, there's land tax, right? So I start thinking of different types of taxes. There's income tax, right? There's health tax or healthcare, often, right? So there's different kinds. So Karem, anyway, that's good enough for now. So this is what you want to do when you're in the IELTS. So a topic comes up like tax. You want your brain to quickly and effectively access as much information as possible on that topic. Do you get what I'm saying with that, Karem?
Yes.
Because when you can access all that information, and especially when that's coming to you in English, then that's really going to help you to understand what you're listening to, because the IELTS it's not an economics class. They're not going to teach you like really tricky accounting or economics about taxes, right? Like there's whole, master's and PhD programs on money and taxes, but IELTS is not, it's not fourth year university. So they're going to kind of give you general information like this, like rich, poor, have to pay, revenue, sales tax, etc., right? Okay, so Karem, 22, can you read that for me, please?
Of course. The first reason mentioned for taxes is
Mhm.
something.
You-
I think it was the revenue.
Yeah, revenue, right? The government makes money by tax,
Yeah.
so it's revenue. And that was the answer. Exactly. And see now Emra and Sidra, Miriam in the chat, they're also kind of thinking about all of the different ideas they have with taxes. What's the second reason for taxes?
The second reason for taxes, known as a redistribution of wealth, he said.
Okay, sure. Redistribution, right?
Yeah.
And that's a little bit tricky to spell. Can you spell it out for me? Redistribution?
Redistribution.
Spell it out for me.
Redistribution.
Karem, you're such a good helper. You're going to be my teacher's aid. No, that was perfect. That was perfect. And it's good to do that kind of spell out practice, especially when you're doing listening at home for words that are, trickier like that. So redistribution. Okay, now let's have fun with it. When you're thinking of redistribution, it means taking money from the rich and giving it to the poor. What's one of the really famous kind of stories that's connected to this taking from the rich and giving to the poor?
It's a kind of film or something?
Mm-hmm. There's like a super famous they made like 10 movies from this and stories, and everybody. Miriam has it. Undefined Factors has it.
Yeah. Robin Hood, I remember that.
Right? It's the old Robin Hood fable, right? Take it.
Yeah.
Now, the reason I'm saying that is not just like, why would Adrian suddenly talk? Let me ask you, Karim, why do you think I would suddenly make a Robin Hood reference here? So we're doing listening, we're doing IELTS, we're talking about redistribution. Why am I suddenly bringing in this reference to Robin Hood? What do you think?
Maybe it may help for our visualization. It helps to get into directly the story.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not a maybe. It's for a sure. Right? So when you see Robin Hood taking money from the rich, in fact, if you're as visual as I am, then you kind of visualize the taxes as well, because remember who the bad guy is in Robin Hood?
If I say I didn't watch this film,
we're all going to say, where have you been living, Karem, on Mars?
Yeah.
That's okay, but you know the film.
Yes.
I think Miriam says the king, one says a pirate. No,
Yeah,
it's not the king and it's not a pirate. It's not, Robin Hood is not Peter Pan.
Yes.
Domenico says, I think it's Prince John, but the real bad guy is the sheriff. It's the sheriff in the town or in the community. It's there's this sheriff, and if some people remember, then the sheriff goes around collecting taxes from the poor people and doesn't collect taxes from the rich people, only the poor people. Kind of sounds like the real world, doesn't it, Karem?
Yeah. Yes,
so when we're able to have fun with the concepts we're visualizing, it really does help to make sense of it, right? So that's why it's important to do that. I think a lot of people, when they complain about the reading section or the listening section in the IELTS, it's because they're not interested. They're so separated. They're like, who cares? I have to pay taxes anyways. When you're not interested in what you're doing, the brain doesn't work all that well. But if you become interested, and you make your brain become interested, then you'll do a lot better. So here's a nice homework exercise for you, Karem, and everybody else. Watch Robin Hood and see how taxes play an important part of that story, and you'll learn a lot about taxes in Robin Hood. Okay?
All right. I'm gonna watch it definitely.
Karem, any questions about the listening section?
No, thank you. And I'm keep watching for your strategy.
Yep, you might hear some other good movie tips in there, right?
All right.
All right, Karem, thank you for helping me out. You've been a great sport. Thank you.
And thank you for having B. Goodbye.
Bye, Karem. All right, let's give Karem a thumbs up. That was really good. Okay, so really important, everybody. All right, Alexander is in the house. Alexander, are you ready? Let's talk to Alexander. Hopefully Alexander is watching. I don't see him in the chat, so Alexander might have a surprise here, but we'll see. Maybe he'll be like, no, I've been watching, just not commenting. Alexander, if you're there, okay, let's check in with Alexander. No guarantee he's watching, but let's see. Alexander, are you there? Can you hear me? I don't hear you, so we might not have a connection for some reason. Let me let me do it this way, Alexander. Can you try calling me? The connection, we might be able to establish the connection the other way. By the way, students, this is another trick that you can try. If you're having issues calling somebody, you can always ask them to call you in the chat, and then that might fix it, because the connection can go through different servers in different parts of the world depending on who's calling who. So I believe Alexander is in Russia, and he might be able to call me easier than I can call him. I'm not sure. So the world is strange these days. So Alexander, if you can call me, if you see that green button. If not, yep, there you are. Hi, Alexander. It seems like we're not having luck with that. So, Alexander, I might refresh the page here in a moment. Just hang in there. I'm going to see if somebody else wants to volunteer. Juan or Manikanta, if you want to ping me, let me know. Juan, we usually have a good connection. If you want to help me out here with a couple of questions, then we can jump in on those. All right. If not, let me know. If you guys are having trouble connecting, let me know, because then I'll just do a quick reset on the server. But before I do that, I want to make sure that it's not just a local issue. Okay. Alexander's saying, I'm using LTE today. Yeah, that could be causing the issue. Not sure. Alexander, it's possible. Okay. Juan, I see that you're in here. Juan, it's not so much the listening section, it's just chatting about the strategies for the listening section while somebody works up the courage. By the way, everybody can use this. You don't have to pay for the website, everybody. Anybody can use this, okay? So, Carolina, if you could just put the instructions into the chat one more time and encourage students to join. It's free, and you can all use it. All you have to do is just go to aehelp.com. While you're working up the courage, to ping me, I will go back and we'll do a couple of these together. Ishan, the Zoom link is coming out later today. You'll get an email. If you don't see that email, Ishan, let me know. Okay, so send me a link. Okay, let's look at these ones here. So we have a flow chart here. Oh, now I hear somebody volunteering. Let me just jump back there and see what's going on. Ariadna, okay. Ariadna says, me? Question mark? Sure. Sure. You ready? I'm guessing so.
Hello, Adrian. Can you hear me?
I can. Happy to have you,
Yeah,
Ariadna.
I have such difficulties with the connection too. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good, Ariadna. Are you watching the listening class?
Yeah, of course. It was
Okay.
Sheriff of Nottingham.
All right, all right. Yes, that's
Yeah.
right. Thank you. Ariadna says, "Hey, everybody." Okay, thank you. The real bad guy in Robin Hood is the sheriff, of course, of Nottingham, the place where they are, right?
Yeah, but with this listening, I'm not sure.
That's
Yeah.
okay. That's why I'm here. So there are three reasons mentioned for tax. One was revenue. The other one was redistribution. Those, I think, are the two that people are kind of familiar with. But then the third one, people are maybe
Yeah,
not as familiar with, and they
yeah, I
describe it
know.
more, right?
I have heard redistribution of wealth, so I thought maybe wealth redistribution because uh, not many that two words. So I'm not sure if only one word redistribution. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
okay.
redistribution. Just one word, redistribute,
Yeah,
redistribution.
yeah.
hmm
Hmm.
Now there was a third one. What was that called? They all start with an R. Revenue, redistribution, and the third reason, what was it? Do you remember? For tax.
No,
It's
I
in this
focused.
list.
No, I think I was focused on the first and the second.
Reasons. And so the third one is a little bit trickier, but I'll guide you. You had this flow chart, and then you had these choices. You had these 6 choices. Can you read the 6 choices for me?
Revenue, alcohol, redistribution, repricing, general goods, and production.
Okay, so first of all, we can cross out revenue and we can cross out redistribution because those ones we already talked about. So they're not going to be those ones. So we've got 4 left, right? And this is a bit of deduction here. So we've got 4 left. What are the 4 remaining?
So 24, then down is allowed to go to the free market. Maybe it's general goods.
Yeah, so 24 is E, general goods. Absolutely, you're right. And which one of these 4? So we've got general goods now. And one of the last 3, so B, D, or F, one of those is the third reason for taxes. Which one is it? It's not alcohol. It's production, the response.
Products.
No. Say what you wanted to say. Say what you
Mm,
wanted to say.
so
You wanted to say no. You wanted to say repricing, right?
No, production.
No, it's not the. Remember, Ariadna, I even gave you a hint. I said they all start with an R, right?
Yeah, of course.
So it has to be repricing because F starts with a. Productions, the government doesn't care. It's up to you. You have to produce.
Yeah, really.
They don't care. They reprice it.
Right.
So it's called repricing. Repricing.
Repricing.
Yeah. So number 25 is B. It's alcohol. And then alcohol is subject to repricing tax.
Repricing, yeah.
Do you remember why? Why do we reprice alcohol? So it doesn't cost a lot of money to make alcohol because you can just take water, sugar, yeast, and voila, you have vodka, right?
Yeah, but treating this alcohol not issues, illnesses cost a lot.
Why? Why does it cost a lot? Why does alcohol cost a lot?
No, because the causes of using alcohol, of drinking alcohol, it costs a lot.
Like what?
Our health taxes.
Okay, so our health, for our health, right? What else?
Yeah.
So alcohol causes problems for health, like liver problems, car accidents, right? What else? Where else would alcohol create a cost in society? So again, everybody, what you should do when you're doing IELTS listening, and Ariadna, this is kind of where I'm going with this. What a lot of candidates do, what a lot of people do when they're preparing for the IELTS, is they try to do as many practice exams as quickly as possible. So they just do one listening exam, the next listening exam, the next, and then they go, I'm not improving. What's happening? And the reason they're not improving is because they're not actually learning. They're just doing. To learn, we have to engage the information in English. That means we have to think about it. We have to use it, right? And that's what we're doing. Like, that's what I was doing with Karem, talking about Robinhood. Now we're discussing alcohol, repricing tax. You said it costs for the healthcare system.
Yeah.
Accidents, liver disease, other kinds of mental diseases, etc. Where else does alcohol? Ask me. You can ask me. You can say, "Hey,
So
Adrian."
I think so. Alcohol leads to addiction. So we need more geld or more money for our health insurances and for health system.
I agree. There's others too. Let's see if anybody in the chat is. Where are the other costs of alcohol? Like, why should we make alcohol more expensive? Why should we tax it and use that tax money? There's another one that comes to my mind quite quickly. You can just ask me, Ariadna.
What causes alcohol for society?
Crime. Alcohol often leads to violence and crime, and because it's addictive, people will commit crime to get money to buy alcohol. So in the criminal system for police, it also creates a lot of issues as well, right? Ask me again. Questions are good.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know.
Like this, Ariadna. Where else? Where else does alcohol have extra costs for society? You can just repeat me, Ariadna. Ask me the same question. Okay.
What else costs the alcohol for society?
Okay, let's visualize, Ariadna. I'm walking on the beach.
Yeah.
Or I'm walking around on the street. What do I often see?
Yeah, a lot of trash.
Right? All those beer cans, beer bottles.
For the environment.
Yeah, alcohol consumption.
It's a big call. Yeah.
You're in Poland, right?
Yeah.
Do you ever see alcohol trash on the streets?
What I can find on the beach or on the street. Yeah.
Yeah, and we see that.
A lot of bottles. Yeah.
Right. So just even with the garbage collection, alcohol leads to extra costs. And usually when people are drinking, they don't always nicely put their cans into the garbage. Beer bottles somehow magically always seem to get wings and fly through the air and onto beaches and other places, right? Unfortunately, but that happens.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So that's very real. So again, that power of visualization, right, and discussion. So we get all of those answers, right? That's what we want to do. Does it make sense, Ariadna, what I'm encouraging here for?
Of course. Thank you. Thank you so much for helping me.
Yeah, and that's the kind of thinking, everybody, that we want to take into these IELTS listening sections. We want to make them interesting. We want to understand them. We want to learn the English around them. And then we're not just learning English, but we're actually learning about ourselves, self-improvement. Right, Ariadna?
Yeah.
Okay. Ariadna, thank you so much for volunteering. I appreciate you helping me out.
Thank you, Adrian. Thank you.
And I can tell you know a lot about Robinhood, so I'll have to ask you sometime later how that is or why that is. I'll discover that about you later.
Yeah, not only Star Wars.
Not only Star Wars, exactly. All right, Ariadna, enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Adrian.
Bye, Ariadna.
Have a nice day.
Bye, thank you. Yes, and if many of you were in the class, was it yesterday? Then you'll know why the Star Wars joke appeared there, because Ariadna gave us a very interesting answer for speaking. Star Wars movies, right? Watching movies, watching the Return, Empire Strikes Back. Empire Strikes Back. All right, Miguel, Juan, anybody while you're thinking about volunteering, let me just go through 27 to 29 here together with you in the class. If you want to volunteer, do volunteer. I'll circle back to the speaking. So this one was, which three of the following are arguments given in favor of lower taxes? Now, lots of information in this question, and it's very difficult to try to look at the choices. There are 6 choices. Very difficult to look at those and figure it out while the audio is happening, everybody. So what you should do instead is what I did, which is take some notes. Listen carefully, take some notes. I have this one here. When the taxes are too high, businesses leave the country. Okay. The other one that I heard was like, taxes are not possible worldwide. I'm not sure if that's related. Staying competitive. So lower taxes help to be competitive. Okay. And if they fail, then there's no money. So now I'm going to see which of these answers kind of relate to this. Okay. So A, it is easier to make money when you're already rich. I'm not sure if that was. Businesses will leave the country if taxed too harshly. Yes, that was definitely a correct answer, because that one is directly related to my notes. Okay, everybody following me? Okay. Inheriting money requires no hard work. They did not talk about that. I did not take any notes on that. Okay, so this is note strategy here. All right. A country must be able to stay competitive in the global market. That's that one there. Okay. A worldwide tax structure can be implemented. They said it cannot. So that cannot be, because that's opposite to what they said. Lower taxes in the end up benefiting everyone, including the poor. It has to be that one. It's the only choice that's left. So the correct answers were B, D, and F. And I'm able to get that from my notes and logical thinking. It's very difficult to do that if you're trying to listen and read all of these choices at the same time. So for this type of question, it's super important that you take notes. Did everybody catch that? Okay, I see there's chatter in the chat about who's doing what with the IELTS, which is good. I encourage you to communicate. I just want to make sure that you're paying attention here to what's going on. So these multiple choice, which three of the following? This is 3 points, so it's a big one. You don't want to miss these. This could easily cost you a half a band score if you get these ones wrong. Okay. So the trick here is take notes and use your notes. Don't stare at the answers. It's too confusing if you just stare at the answers. Okay. Everybody got that? Yes? Okay, Sidra says yes. All right, and then the last one was just one multiple choice question. It was, what do the speakers believe about taxes in the future? Both of them say higher taxes. That was kind of an easier one. They sometimes do that on the IELTS, where the last question is a little bit of an easier one to help you regain your confidence for the next section. Okay. All right, so before we jump to section 4, everybody, what was your score? So how did you do on section 3? What did you get out of 10? Okay, you had 10 possible marks to get a perfect score for part 3 here. How did you do? Here's a tip, everyone. Somebody asked me yesterday in an email, like, how do I know I'm ready for the IELTS? For instance, one way is you should be getting 6 or more in part 3. So if you're getting 6 or more consistently, like you're regularly getting 6 or more answers correct in part 3, you're probably ready for the IELTS exam, at least for the listening section. Okay, Arkna says 8. Arkna, that's good. Okay, so that works. Okay, everybody, we're going to jump into listening part 4. This is going to be about Isaac Newton. You already know this, especially if you were here in last week, Friday's class, because you visualized, right? The apple falling from a tree, the apple hitting you on the head. And Isaac Newton, of course, very famous for gravity, or the concept of gravity, among other inventions. But at this point you're visualizing, right? So you're visualizing this famous scientist, Sir Isaac Newton. Okay, again, we will jump back to our website, aehelp.com, and we'll listen to part 4. Listen and answer the questions. Okay, answer while you listen. Here we go, everybody.
Now turn to section 4. Take some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Listening section 4. You will hear a lecture about English scientist Isaac Newton. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Today we are going to discuss the life and achievements of the famous English scientist Sir Isaac Newton. Many consider Newton to be the most brilliant man to have ever lived, and many consider his achievements the greatest ever achieved by one man. Newton himself was not so sure, as he famously told his followers, "If I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants." While it may be true that he built upon the foundation of scientists before him, he still managed to see further than anyone else had, and to this day his accomplishments stand the test of time. Isaac Newton was born in England in 1643. He studied at the King's School in Grantham from age 12 to 17. After leaving school, his mother tried to make him into a farmer, but that was not going to be sufficient for young Isaac. A year later, in 1661, on the recommendation of one of his teachers at the King's School in Grantham, Newton was admitted to Trinity College in Cambridge, where he eventually became a teacher 6 years later. Newton is perhaps most famous for his work on gravity. A well-known story says that Newton realized the nature of gravity while he was sitting under a tree and an apple fell on his head. This story may or may not be true, but the underlying principle is valuable. Newton made the astonishing discovery that the same force that makes an apple fall to the earth also makes the earth revolve around the sun and the moon revolve around the earth. Until this time, scientists such as René Descartes and Gottfried Leibniz had believed that the planets moved in some sort of matter, something they called an ether. Newton demonstrated that no such ether was required. Descartes and Leibniz also had little explanation for why apples fall to the earth. Newton's theory accounted for this almost perfectly. During the 20th century, Newton's theory came under attack by the German physicist Albert Einstein, whose theory of relativity was said to replace Newton's theory of gravitation. This is simply not true. Einstein's theory is a landmark achievement in science, but it did not replace Newton's theory, it merely improved it. To picture this, think of a smooth ball, perhaps a billiard ball. In this experiment of the mind, Newton tells us that the ball is smooth. However, Einstein says that the ball has small imperfections, dents, cuts, and scrapes. Who is right? The answer is both of them. Newton is correct on a macroscopic scale. When we look at the ball from a distance, the ball is smooth. However, Einstein is correct as well. The ball does have imperfections. He is correct on a macroscopic and a microscopic scale. Another of Newton's important achievements is the reflecting telescope. Previously, Galileo had used lenses to construct his telescope, but Newton was the first to use mirrors in a telescope. Today's telescopes are almost all made of mirrors as opposed to lenses, which again speaks to Newton's brilliance. There are a number of reasons the mirror is an improvement over the lens in telescopes. First, mirrors do not warp as easily as lenses do, and by that I mean that lenses can lose their shape in hot or cold weather quite easily. Second, telescopes with mirrors take up less space because of their shorter focal distance. Third, telescopes with mirrors can be built far larger because the mirrors themselves can be built larger. An achievement of Newton's that must not be overlooked is Newton's discovery of calculus. Although the discovery was not without controversy, Gottfried Leibniz also claims to have invented calculus at approximately the same time. Nobody really knows the truth, but it is accepted that they discovered it separately. In any case, it was a brilliant achievement by both scientists. Newton died in March 1727, and his body was laid to rest at Westminster Abbey in London, in a famous above-ground tomb. He was 84.
That is the end of section 4. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
All right, everybody. Check those answers. I saw many of you putting answers in the chat. Keep in mind, everybody, you can share those answers after, just in case you make a mistake. You don't want other people getting confused. By the way, to do lots of practice exams, everyone, you can try Test Glider. They're one of our partners. They have really good computer-based practice exams, and you get a 40% discount when you access their app and their website through us. It's only $27 instead of 60 or 50 US dollar. Anyway, you get big savings. You can even try that for free. There's one full computer-based practice exam, and their computer-based practice exams are exactly the same as the real official exams. So, and they're AI assisted marking, so they're pretty cool. Definitely check it out. Out of South Korea, really good company. Okay. Anyway, let's go through these answers. If somebody wants to volunteer, I'll open up my student partner speaking again. And if somebody wants to volunteer and give me some answers, Miguel, Manicanta, somebody there, absolutely, you can volunteer and jump in. I'm not going to push you as much for this part, simply because of time constraints. We have limited time, but if you feel like, hey, I want to chat about Isaac Newton and give you some answers, that is okay. First, we had this flow chart. Flowcharts, you can identify your position by key names and numbers, like Isaac Newton, born in 1643. This helps position yourself in the audio. King's School in Grantham, also helping to position. Okay. And I see that Michael Delafruz, Dwalachi are saying it's two numbers, 12 and 17, and I should use green here to not confuse you. That is correct. So in your answer sheet, it's just 12 and 17. Okay. All right. Now, leaves school and mother attempts to make him. I think Shishant, Dwalachi, Emma all have that wrong. If that was your answer for that one. Or maybe that was for a later one, because for a later one, that's going to be correct. Shushant, it's not a father. That's right, Miriam. It's a farmer. Leaves school. Mother attempts to make him, you will become a dad. You will have lots of children. No. Mom's like, you're going to be farming, working the fields. He would have probably invented the first combine. Okay. It's like, here's a machine, Mom. That'll do the farm work. I'm going to go invent some other great scientific discoveries or make them. All right, so farming. That's the answer there. Okay. All right. I had a good chuckle on that, Shushant, so I appreciate it. Okay. All right, 1661, again, a date that helps you position. On the recommendation of his teachers, he's admitted to Trinity College in Cambridge 6 years after. Newton becomes, and I think this is where Dwalachi and Delafruz and Emma, this is where they were trying to get the answer in there. It's teacher. All small letters. It's not the start of the sentence. It's not a proper noun. It's all small letter. becomes a teacher. Don't say teachers, just teacher, because it's a. Pay attention to those articles. It's a singular. Okay, a teacher, Alexander. Yes, so instead of the farming or being a farmer, Newton is now a teacher. That's awesome. Awesome. All right. Now, some other very famous people in history. Galileo of Italy. Descartes of France. Leibniz of Germany. Einstein of Austria. I think in the audio it says German physicist, which makes sense. But if I'm not mistaken, nationality-wise, Einstein was Austrian. You can correct me on that if I'm mistaken. So we've got some European famous figures, and of course world famous when you're looking at science and scientific discoveries here. Now, hopefully you're kind of familiar with these people, at least a little bit. If you're into astronomy, you'll for sure have heard the name Galileo. If you're into physics, you'll definitely will have heard the name Newton. If you're into psychology, you will have heard the name Descartes. If you're into math, you will have heard Leibniz. Einstein, of course, physics and math as well. Okay, who's the oldest? It's Galileo. He's old school. Then came Descartes. Leibniz came at about the same time as Newton. And Einstein is a young, much more modern day person. So older, no, less old, and then Newton. So that's the timeline, right? It's good to have that timeline in your head. That'll help you. Okay, let's go through the answers here. So Ariadna says Einstein was German, I believe. Was he not Austrian? I'll have to check that background on him. Okay. Nationality wise. Anyway, maybe I'm thinking of Arnold Schwarzenegger. Number 34. Have fun with the listening. That's what I'm encouraging you to do. Number 34. Believed that planets moved in an ether, like a gel, like a jello. That was C, everybody. It was Descartes and Leibniz. Marianne, very good. Developed a theory which was thought to replace the earlier theory of gravity. Well, there's only one answer that works there. It has to be Einstein. Polly Yaneva, very nice. Polly Yaneva says that one's D. There's only that person that could have. He's the only one that's really younger. I guess Leibniz kind of could have, but Descartes definitely not. So that's why it can't be C. Descartes died before Newton was born. Descartes was 1400, 1500, something like that, I think. I should know my degrees in psychology. I remember Descartes, but he's famous for geometry, triangulation. All right. And then in the experiment of the mind tells us the billiard ball is smooth. That was Newton on a macroscopic scale. Used not mirrors but lenses in the construction of a telescope. It's Galileo. Galileo is also famous for one other situation there. So Galileo, astronomer, he said, hey, let's use these lenses. There's something that Galileo is very famous for. Anybody know? Again, have fun with the listening, like Sheriff of Nottingham. So Galileo, telescope with lenses, and is famous because Alexander says Inquisition, something to do with the Inquisition, Galileo's Inquisition. Yes, Alexander, can you tell us more? Okay, I believe they killed him, didn't they, Alexander? Like he actually got hung for that, or he got kicked out of the country or something like that. I remember, right? if I'm not mistaken, and some of you might say, hey, Adrian, you're wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm not. He said, the world is round. And it is not the center of the universe. And the church did not like that. Okay. Yes, that's right. So Galileo said, hey guys, I think the earth is actually moving around the sun, and it's not the sun that's spinning around the earth. And the earth is not the center of the universe, and I'm pretty sure it's round. People were like, no, it's flat. It's the center of the universe. You die. Alexander says he got house arrest. He wasn't allowed to leave his home. So you cannot leave your home and tell people the truth, or we destroy you. And your telescope. And the spaceship you came on. Okay. Having fun, students. Have fun with the poor Galileo. He's like, oh, sure wasn't fun for me, guys. But anyway, he was a smart guy. So now we're like, nope, yeah, Galileo was right. And the church was like, yeah, sorry, guys. Yeah, he was kind of right. There's no denying it now. It's too much information out there. All right. So the last one here is Galileo. And then here we have some more on telescopes, right? So telescopes with lenses cannot be built as large as telescopes with mirrors because large lenses tend to, and it can be two words and or number. Anybody get that one? Okay. Dualachi says tend to brilliant. I don't know. Dualachi, are you calling Galileo brilliant? Are you calling me brilliant? Or are you saying 38 is brilliant? Large lenses tend to lose shape. Or, if you caught the word, warp would be another one. Both of those are correct. Archna, not loose shape, lose shape. Careful. 2 O's, different word. You get it wrong. Okay. Alexander, 1 O. Everybody, lose. Okay, remember this forever. I'm going to do it like this. Let's do it like this. We'll help you remember these forever so you never make this mistake again. Okay? Archna, do not lose your passport in Mexico because they will keep you there for 2 years until you get a replacement. Repeat after me. Archna, do not lose your passport in Mexico because they will keep you there for 2 years until you get a replacement. Alexander. Your belt is loose because you lost 10 kilos since you started doing kung fu with your neighbor in the garden. Students, the reason I'm including Archna and Alexander is because that way it's unique and you'll remember it forever. Okay, so the belt is loose. All right. If you write the wrong word, that 1 O will cost you that mark. Okay. Lose, loose, lose, loose, lose, loose. Alexander says, it's my biggest dream. Time to start doing that kung fu, Alexander. All right. So I gotta have fun, everybody. Gotta have fun. Learning and fun do not have to be separate. In fact, they work best when they're together. Okay. All right. Telescopes with mirrors take up less space because of their reduced. This was a tricky one. You really had to have that band 9 level listening. It's not just distance, Tanvir. It's their focal. If you're into photography, this one would help you. Focal distance. All right. Students, another super fun quick question that you should be asking each other in a classroom. Deborah, Nitesh, Anahita, what awesome technology currently is using Newton's mirrored telescope technology to discover life on other planets? And everybody should know the answer to this. You should look up pictures on this. It is one of the most important scientific advancements of our generation. So you should not be blind to that. You should know it. You should see it. I know there are lots of problems in the world, wars here, hunger there, problems here and there, but humans are also advancing. We're doing amazing science and discoveries. Anahita, it's not SpaceX. It is. That's right, Domenico. Thank you. Domenico says, everybody, it is the James Webb telescope. It is equipped with some of the most advanced mirror technology in human existence to bring us some incredible images of the universe. Very nice. Yes, the James Webb telescope. Did everybody hear that it looks like it discovered life on another planet? It seems James Webb telescope has discovered life, or has discovered the evidence of life on another planet. So now comes another interesting discovery along with Galileo, right? Where we're not the only ones in the universe. Everybody hear about that? It seems that there's a planet with water, that has a carbon gas in the atmosphere, which can only be produced by organic matter. Absolutely, Domenico. Yeah. And just like our trees and us, we breathe out a certain type of carbon gas that's very unique to organic matter. It looks like there's a planet, you can look it up, which has that same gas in the atmosphere that is being breathed out by organic matter. The light spectrum is showing that indeed it is the same gas. Did you know that? Some of you are like, mind blown. I thought I was coming here for a listening lesson, and suddenly I'm learning that there's life on other planets. Yeah, Anahita. So they're working on that right now. They're like, yeah, it looks to be true. It looks like that carbon gas is in the atmosphere and it's made by living matter. And the James Webb telescope can see it. It gives off a very specific light. Okay, last one here, everybody. With that, you're like, I don't even want to listen. This means there's aliens. Number 40. Which statement is true? Newton and Leibniz discovered calculus together. Newton and Leibniz discovered calculus separately during the same period. Or C. Newton and Leibniz discovered calculus separately while working at the same university. Now that would be weird. Okay. All right. So the answer, B. Okay. They discovered calculus separately, kind of during the same time. Tanvir, Ariadna, very nice. Okay, students, add up your scores. How did you do? What did you get? I'm going to hop back to the website here. I see somebody here is volunteering. I can't engage you at this point because we're kind of coming to the end here, but definitely tomorrow for the speaking class, everybody. Score calculator. It's here. on the website. Okay. So Anna says, I got 8 out of 10 in that part 4. Very good, Anna. 8 out of 10 in part 4 is fantastic. Okay. Domenico, I can see you're following the science. Yeah. Deborah says, I got 9 out of 10. Deborah, that is fantastic. Okay, what did you guys get out of 40 if you combine today's and last week's Fridays? So, for example, like if you got between today and last Friday on the full listening section, if you got 35, you got a band 8. If you got 25, you got a band 6. If you got 15, you got a band 4.5. Okay. You can't just check the band score, Dwalachi, for part 4 only. But Dwalachi, here's the good news. You can go back, check out last week, Friday's lesson, and then do the exam. Students, you have 6 full practice exams in your premium course at aehelp.com. And if you get Test Glider, you'll have another 8, which is 14, and we're adding 4 more this year later on, so we have 18. So lots of practice exams. General IELTS students is gieltshelp.com. You can join by clicking the big red buttons right there. Okay, and on AEHelp, it's this one here. Click that big red button there that's above my head, and you are en route to getting a great IELTS score. If you have questions, everybody, about our products or about these classes, send me an email, adrian@aehelp.com or admin@aehelp.com. If you have questions about life on other planets, you'll have to ask the scientists at NASA about that. Do a bit of research. Type in James Webb Telescope latest discoveries. Okay. It's our biggest binoculars looking into the space, so of course it's discovering new information all the time. It's basically better than anything we've ever had before by far. Okay, the Hubble telescope is like it's like bad glasses compared to the James Webb. So of course it's discovering. Carolina, you're super welcome. Carolina, thank you. Everybody, you know, we don't thank Carolina enough, but when you have a chance, right, Carolina, thank you in the chat. She's working so hard to make sure that everybody enjoys these classes, stays on track, people don't spam or put hate messages or other awful content in there. So she's doing a really good job, and she's so often here with us helping out. So she really deserves a thumbs up, and I don't think we thank her enough. We don't verbalize it. So there's Anna saying thank you, Carolina, and Miriam saying thank you, Carolina. You really deserve it, Carolina. It's very, very helpful for everyone. aehelp.com, gieltshelp.com, everybody. Check us out, join us, get the links for your premium Zoom classes coming up on Sunday, everybody. Tomorrow, speaking part 2 here on YouTube, and then speaking part 3 on the website. Alexander, thank you for being a good sport. Thank you, everybody, for watching, being here with me today, and I hope to see you again tomorrow. Much love to all of you, wherever you are in the world today, or even for those who might be on that planet far away. Much love to you too. Bye, everybody.